Hey guys, it's Chelsea Eggleston, and today I'm going to be showing you a technique that I learned from Pretty Little Ombre, and this is a quick 30-minute balayage technique. It's awesome, and I love the way it turns out. So first, I'm just going to take 3 sections on the side, on both sides, and this is about probably an inch section, and I'm just going to be surface painting. So nothing that I am using on top is going through the bottom. I don't want it to go and penetrate through the section because that will create splotchiness, and it's just too thick of a section for that. And plus, I'm doing that because I want that underneath piece to be a low light. So as I pull it up around the ear, I'm basically just giving it a little V, so then when she pulls her hair up, you can see a little bit of some brightness there. And then I'm just saturating the ends just a little bit because they are a little thinner, so that underneath section will just gradually fade from the dark to the light. That'll just give her some extra brightness on the ends. I'm also using Lonza decolorizer and cream decolorizer, equal parts mixed together to make my decolorizer a little thicker, and I'm using 30 volume on this mannequin. Then I'm going to go ahead and take the next section down. This is going to be in the parietal ridge area of the section that I'm taking. So this might be another section that might be just a little bit bigger. Obviously, use this as a guideline. If somebody has thicker hair in the front, which normally doesn't happen, then go ahead and take smaller sections. I'm painting in more slanted, more of a diagonal pattern, because here in the front, the hair that's on top is going to fall over this, so I want this to be more higher contrast. And I'm also really applying the color very generously. I want it to lift really well, very evenly from scalp to ends, but just be careful that you also are not really saturating it too much and pushing through the section. You're being very light on that surface. You're also just being very careful to just blend it up to the height that you want. It's okay to go a little bit higher on these sections because this top section is going to just fall over these sections, and then when you run her fingers through, she parts her hair half up, half down, whatever, you'll be able to see this. So now this is her money piece on this side. Now, depending on where she parts it, you're going to take a V from that section, and you'll see that section once I go to the back. But I'm doing more higher contrast here. She wants a bright money piece in her consultation. She wants a bright money piece, and she wants it to be really bright around her face. So that's why I'm doing these diagonal sections, because it's going to give her more high contrast and a more stark color that she's looking for. Now again, I'm going to move on to the other side. Depending on how deep their part is, you may have like 2 sections on one side and maybe like 4 on the other, but the majority of the time you're always going to have 6 sections and 6 triangles. So I'm just going to be doing the same thing on the other side. I absolutely have loved this technique. I have been doing this on the first time I tried it was on a client that I had that had an enormous amount of hair, and it still took me 30 minutes. So just imagine if you had somebody that had less thickness, they would definitely, it might take you 15 minutes, just depending on that. But again, try not to saturate through the penetrate through that section. You really want it to be very high contrast on the top and that low light on the bottom. So you kind of have to think about where you want that darkness to be, so it'll blend really, really nice. Once you rinse this and you curl this, you'll see that dimension. It doesn't even look like you are giving her dimension because you're taking these big sections, but I promise you will give her such nice dimension. Now, as you're going through this bottom section and you're doing making that brightness on the ends, be careful to lift up your section and make sure it's blended. That can be a really big mistake because you don't want it to be super stark, and then as she lifts her hair up or she curls it, she sees this straight line. So making sure that's really blended, and that's why I'm using the cream decolorizer with the regular decolorizer, because it gives me a little bit more control and some more thickness. I mixed my lightener up to about 1 to 1.5 with the developer, so it just kind of depends on what your consistency is, but we don't use clay lighteners at my salon, so I thought this was a great way to get the maximum lift that I want. So again, I'm just making this really high contrast piece, and I'm just giving her that money piece that she's looking for around the face, so no matter where she parts her hair, it'll look really, really pretty from these underneath pieces as well. Mannequins obviously have a really hard part, so I couldn't go do anything from there. So now you're going to see this section. It was a very deep V section, and it went from the very top to behind the ear. And so now with all of this is where I'm going to add a little bit of some like low lights and some highlights here. So I'm not going to be doing very high contrast blonde pieces here because I want it to blend a little bit as it comes over this piece, and I wanted to kind of bring up some lightness there. So I'm just taking about another section that will meet with that first section that we did, and I'm just painting this in a V. I'm still bringing it up towards her face because I still want that money piece to be there, and then I'm just bringing that V up on the other side, the right side of that panel, because I want it to be more blended. And again, there's a lot of darkness underneath that piece, so I want to bring some more lightness up because she wants to see more lightness up there. And then I'm go ahead and do the same thing on the ends. I've really had great luck with this technique. I haven't had anything go wrong yet. So just super quick and easy. So this next section, I'm going to do another blonde piece just because I'm still surface painting, so that underneath is still acting as a low light. You can see she was colored previously, so I'm trying to hide all of those spots that she was colored previously, but it's not that difficult because I'm still have somewhat of a clean canvas to paint on. This one is going to be a little bit more of a higher contrast piece just because I wanted this piece to kind of fall over the dark and just give a little bit more lightness. So then the next section that I'm going to take is going to be underneath this section, and I'm just going to be doing a low light. So I'm just using, I believe I use 6NV and 6P from Lanza, double demi, just because I don't want it to be super harsh, and next time if she wants some more brightness, I don't want to try to have to lift that again. Plus it is, when you use demi, it's more soft. So that is going to be the low light piece there, and then on top of that I'm going to lay a blonde piece. Sometimes you'll see me kind of almost melt the low light with the highlight because I want to cover up some of that blonde that she's had previously, but you're going to be taking pie sections. So with this V section, you're going to be just taking about 1 to 2 inches of a pie section, and it's super simple, super quick and easy. If you feel like this section is too big, like I'm going to take this underneath piece of her nape and I'm going to color her nape entirely with this dark color because it's not needed, and true balayage doesn't have that brightness underneath there. So I'm just going to color that with that low light color. And then this top section, I'm going to be kind of melting the low light and the highlight together. Now she had a very, very stark blonde piece here, so I kind of wanted to get rid of that and add in a low light here. So I just colored that with the low light color. And then this next section is where I'm going to be kind of bringing up some light and melting some of that dark together. So in these pie sections, basically when it falls apart, it's just going to be this beautiful low light, highlight kind of contrast together. You have to just be really careful about where you're painting. So I kind of painted a little bit on the side because I wanted it to kind of bring some lightness up through there. But it's up to your discretion. It depends on what your client wants and what they're looking for and what kind of brightness they're wanting. But here I am putting that demi color there. And if you're having somebody that has like previously colored hair, this isn't bad because using demi, you're just kind of trying to match what they have. But if you're doing this on somebody that has natural hair, using demi or like a demi trans from Lanza, which is very translucent, is probably going to be your best bet. You want to make sure that you're not really lifting the natural, but kind of coloring back to the natural as well. So then I'm going back to the other side, and I'm just going to make my way around back to the center of the back of the head. And again, I'm just mimicking the same V and the same balayage techniques that I did on the other side. And I want to talk a little bit about tension too, because as you can see, I'm kind of holding this. I start in the mid shaft and then I work my way up, and that's extremely important, especially when you're putting on a lot of product to get a lot of lift. You want to start in the middle. That's where you put your product, and then blend it up and then blend it down. And your tension that you're holding in that mid shaft to kind of 3/4 of the way down is really important. You want to make sure you're holding it really taut and really tight, because if you're holding it really loose, you're not going to be able to surface paint like this, and you're also not going to be able to have a nice clean sweep with your brush. So again, I'm just going to take that next pie section and just do a more high contrast piece there. And then with this next piece, I'm going to be doing the low light just to cover up any of that blonde. So basically just feathering that up into the previous color, almost kind of like balayage low lights here. Nothing too crazy. Just kind of getting that out of the way to add some depth. Then in this next pie section, I'm just going to paint a little bit on the side just to kind of bring up some lightness, but in that middle section, in the middle of that panel, is going to be some depth. So yeah, I did, if you want to check out my Instagram, you can see the technique that I did on the girl, the very first girl that I did it on. It's really awesome. And I didn't even do any low lights for her. I just did the just the blonde, and it was really beautiful because she just had a lot of her natural color that I figured would just kind of add that low light in, and it did. It was really awesome. So you can check that out on my Instagram as well. So now with this piece, I'm just going to be adding a low light, and that's the last piece. So I'm going to let her sit for about 30 to 45 minutes. And this is what it looks like after I pulled out the mesh strips. You can use anything that you honestly want when you're using to keep your section separated. But this is what it looked like. And then this is what it looked like dry. I toned it with a 7 NV, an 8 NV, I believe. And I did a blowout on her. And this is when it's straight. And then this is when it's curled. And it just is super beautiful. It adds so much dimension, so much brightness, and it's just such a subtle blend. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like and comment below. Also, please subscribe to my channel, also Maud's channel, and also give me a follow on Instagram, on my Facebook page, Hair by Chelsea Eggleston. I would love to interact with you guys and see if you guys have been using this and really liking this technique. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye.